It's Geography app review time! Today we're going to be talking about The World by National Geographic. It's available for $3.99 in the App Store for the iPad, and currently we're working with version 1.1. It's absolutely impossible to talk about this app without comparing it to one of National Geographic's other apps, the World Atlas. World Atlas is available for $1.99 right now for iPad and iPhone. And I've done a video review of this before, and I'll put a link to this at the bottom of this video. But there was two major concerns that I had with it. One was that the spinning motion of the Earth was not particularly realistic. If I start here with my finger on DRC, we move it, well, okay, that's not very realistic. You're limited in how you can spin it. You can't go past the North or South Pole. It's just not very realistic. The other major knock on this was as you zoom in, you have no control over what map comes. It'll just continue to switch maps until eventually it will go to the Bing road maps. So the good news about the World app is that they've fixed both of those. The motion of the Earth is much more realistic. It's one-to-one. It spins very realistically. You can go past North and South Poles. It's very nice. And if you click to pull up one of the maps, you then are locked on that map. A little slow to load here. And then you are limited into how far you can zoom in, but it actually gives you pretty good resolution as far as you can go. You're not going to need to go any farther than that. So this app is organized with 4 tabs on the bottom. We have Globe, Maps, Nations, and Photos. When you hit on Globe, you have an option for 3 different base maps for the Earth. There's Terrain, which I'm on now, Ocean, and Reference. Unfortunately, the details on these maps, the world base maps, are not very accurate. You can zoom in and you get no more detail. These appear to be vector images, but the closer you get, they'll get clean, but they do not show any more detail no matter what. So that's somewhat frustrating. So at first I didn't really like, let me switch back to a terrain here, how these yellow maps show you, or excuse me, the yellow dots will just put a new map on and just overlay it on the globe. I didn't really understand the purpose of it. It just seemed weird. It seemed a little gimmicky. But once I got used to the fact that regardless of what my base layer is, whatever map I end up clicking on will be locked, and it's always going to be that political map. I've grown to really like it now. It's a little more efficient, and it works better than the World Atlas. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to Reference here. Although one of the things that they haven't fixed, and this has been maybe my biggest knock on National Geographic, is the consistency with their maps. You can see here they've added in South Sudan, and if I click on a Central African map, wait for it to pop up here, sure enough, it's there and it's great. Another thing that I should mention, they've added in national parks to all their maps, which is fantastic, all around the world. But then if I move up here and I switch it to the Northeastern Africa map, we no longer have South Sudan. It's just gone, which has been something that's frustrated me for some time. And also, they took all their existing maps and laid them on the globe, but there's a few details that they left out, and just, all the detail ends before this map overlay, and it's not a big deal. It doesn't really take away from the experience, but, I'm fairly detail-oriented, and so when I see things like that, they just begin to bug me. And so I'll move on to the Maps tab. It's really just a different way to access the same maps that you have on the globe with the yellow dots, except you can organize them by title or by continent. Move on to nations. Again, it's just a way that organizes the maps. You can do it by name or continent. What is kind of cool is once you click on a country, it'll zoom in. It gives you a nice detailed map, and it gives you some of the information about the country. Not a whole lot of information, though. There is some added text under the description. It's the same thing you're going to find in the World Atlas app, though. Also, you can access the photos here. And that takes us to the fourth tab, the last tab, Photos. You know, the photos are nice. I've found that many of them don't seem to live up to what I think of as National Geographic quality photos. The other thing that is a little bit frustrating is there's a number of countries that only have one picture. It just doesn't make much sense to me. It doesn't seem like a real robust atlas if countries only have one picture. Another thing that's a little bit frustrating about this app is that it's 180 megabytes. And if you're like me and you have one of the original 16 gig iPads, 180 megabytes is a lot of space to allocate towards one app. And so I guess in the future I'd prefer it if they had more images, but they actually downloaded them instead of keeping them all on your iPad itself. Although the images are very high quality, but you cannot zoom in. They're very, very, detailed pictures, but no way to zoom in. The other thing that they've added is just this sort of gimmicky share button where you can pull up a particular map and then share that view. It doesn't seem particularly useful for me. So, in general, I'm really happy with this app. For me, it will replace the World Atlas app. It fixes my issues with that, and it adds a few new functions. I'm a little frustrated, though, that National Geographic didn't just fix the problems with the World Atlas app. So now they've created a whole new app. They're charging $4 for it instead of just fixing it with the first one that cost $2. I do think you're going to like this if you're a map addict like me. So if you've got $4 sitting around, I encourage you to get it.